everyone, we are getting very much towards the end of this page now, and it is time to do our unicorn picture, and I need to have a think about the background. I have got a few ideas in my head. I think I know what I'm going to go with, but we're going to do this unicorn first. Now, this unicorn frame, now I'm thinking about this because I'm thinking it's a treasure. It's in this treasure room, so I feel like it needs to look like treasure. So we need to do something sort of bright or sparkly or something to make it look special. Not just the frame, I feel the picture as well. I think I'm going to start with the unicorn itself, and I'm thinking we could colour the unicorn in gold and silver colours, sort of easy gold and silver, not too difficult. And then, I'm not sure about the background, and then I'll think about the frame. I'm thinking the frame again, maybe gold, silver, maybe a bit of coppery, more orangey, because we haven't got that sort of colour on this side. But let's do our unicorn. We're going to probably just use a green, gold and a grey to keep it nice and simple. So here's the green, gold, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the horn, and I'm just going to make sure you can see. Start on the edge and make it dark there, and then a little lighter bit in the middle. I want a sort of line going at the middle of uncoloured to make it, oops, look shiny, but I've messed that up. Oh, dropped my pencil as well, what a clatter. Right, let's sharpen my grey, and we'll do, this is coal grey 4, a little bit darker. Sometimes I use coal grey 3. There we go. So there's this horn. Now with the mane, I was thinking firstly to do every other colour, and now I'm wondering whether to not do it all in one and then do the body in the other colour. I think that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to continue with my grey and just sort of do this so that we've got a bit of a lighter area. This is how I colour hair, but I tend to use more than one colour. I'm keeping this quite simple because it is a picture after all. I think, you know, painting or whatever it might be, so it's not like real hair. What I do with hair is I usually put down a base colour all the same, and then do the tips slightly darker and usually a few different shades, and then I might go take an even darker colour and draw some lines on it in the same direction as the bits of hair. But I have different ways of doing hair actually, depending on the way the picture's drawn. I don't know whether to fill in that bit. I'll think about it as I do this bit. Need to do that bit at the base though. So I hope everyone's okay. I was just getting some car insurance quotes up. We renew every year. We don't do monthly, it's more expensive. And the renewal this year had gone up from £281 to £402. But all insurance has gone up stupidly in this country. Anyway, so I phoned up and she said she could reduce it by about £20, which isn't huge, but I thought, okay. But I said, can you have a look and see how much it would cost to add my son on to the insurance policy? Just because he's got his provisional license, and you know he hasn't had any lessons yet, but you know, we might not take him out in our car anyway. We might be cheaper to have to give him extra lessons, because I knew it would be silly expensive. I'm going to do the same with the mane tail. And so bearing in mind that she got the price down to about £381 for me and my husband, I said, what if you take me off? She said it goes up in price. I was like, okay, leave me on, even though I don't drive. I've got a license and you know all that insurance. So yeah, it's I just don't like driving. I can do all this end together. And so my son, who's had his provisional license for a year, would cost to add with him on there, so including the £281, £381 already, it would cost £2,016 to add him onto our insurance. It's like, whoa, that's quite expensive. Green gold, and I said, what if he passes, sorry, let's try and find it for you, there we are, if he passes his test, will it go down? And she said, well, not necessarily, because then he could go out driving on his own, so it might be even more expensive, you know. That, yeah. And she said it's just really to do with his age. Wow, because, yeah, goodness me. But anyway, that was that. He wants his license because he thinks it will, I'm going to leave those stars, he thinks it will help him get a job. I'm trying to make the horsey a bit darker on the edge than the horsey. It's not a horse. I'm sort of ignoring some of the markings on him. A bit dark on the edge and the middle, leave a little bit of a white gap, just try and make him look a little bit shiny. Yeah, so he wants it, he thinks it will look good on his CV if he's got a license, but it could potentially help him get a job. So I'm going to do the dots darker, just because it's easier. And then the other bits, I'm going to go back to my grey. So yeah, that was a bit of a shocker. I thought it would be over £1,000. I didn't think it would be £2,000. Whew. Madness. I know one of my cousin's sons had an accident when he had only recently passed and he was young, and his insurance was about £1,000 a month, but he had had an accident. So now the background, I'm thinking we could just do like sky, is my thought. I try and decide, should we do clouds or I think it's easier not to, and I think it'll look better, so I'm just going to use the sky blue. I'm just going to do a blue background, and just not that bit of the frame, just inside like this. I'm trying to keep it quite light. I think it's a bit easier. If you want to do it darker, do it darker. It's up to you. I just don't want the background to be a big feature. I just, you know, I want the unicorn to stand out because he's the what's the word? I don't know. The feature of the picture. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. It's not the right word. Anyway, I was doing a course yesterday on graphite pencil drawing. Now, I don't like drawing, don't worry, I'm not going to start doing any drawing. Ooh. But there were bits on shading and stuff, and I thought I would learn some things, and I did. So I'm going to pass on to you something that I learned. Now, it said that when you want something to stand out and look more near the front of your page, you do it darker. Now, and if you look at, it does make complete sense, because if you think about looking into the distance at some mountains, let's say, the mountains will look sort of pale and blurred compared to what's in the foreground. And it made me think about backgrounds, because sometimes I look at some pictures and the background stands out more than the foreground, and that is probably why, because the background is probably too dark. So that got me thinking a little bit. So that was something I learned from the course. I knew I'd learn some things, even though I didn't want to learn to draw. The actual drawing techniques were quite useful, I thought, actually, apart from one exercise where I find it really hard to see what they were doing. But I need to do this frame gold because my background is going to be stone, so hence grey. So we know if we do it grey, if we do it silver, it's going to just all blend together. So I'm not going to do it just the easy gold like this. We're going to use different shades. So we'll start with the, what's this, walnut brown. And what I'm going to do is go through the whole frame, choosing the bits that I think will be darker. So let's start with our, now this bit, I I'm trying to work out, so I think this bit is flat and facing us, and I think this bit is it's really hard to describe what I mean. This bit I think is inside, so I think the picture is dipped in, and this bit is that edge, that inside bit is like that edge, and then this second bit is like flat. So this edge here will be much darker because it's the inside. So I'm going to put quite a lot more of this darker colour on. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it look like that, but we'll see. So again, this edge is like flat like that, and then this edge is that way. I don't know if I'm explaining it at all well, but anyway. So there's quite a lot of dark, as I say, here. And then for this corner, which I think is the sort of flat one, I don't think I'll use any of this really dark one. I think I'll leave it and do the next colour. So let's move on to the frame. I'm a bit confused by what's going on over here, so I'm going to start here. Now I'm thinking we've got these bit and these bits now. I think maybe the swirly bits are a bit higher and these bits a bit lower, like on our candelabra where we did these bits dipped in and these bits out, hopefully. So what I'm going to do is put quite a lot of my darker colour into this bit here, and hope I can make it look a bit sort of layered sort of thing. See how it comes out. Even if it doesn't quite look right, it will still look interesting, I hope. It's always impossible to know for me whether it's going to work until I've finished. So these two, I think we'll dip these two into, see if it works, as I said. You can always add some darker, even darker colour in a bit of black or dark sepia or something if it's not quite providing the sort of shadowy look that I'm after. Now I'm starting on this side because I can see it better. Over here we've got bits that are cut off and stuff, and I'll just be able to copy it, so it'll be easier. And we're going to use a series of other colours too. I had thought about maybe doing this more coppery, didn't I? I still could. It would be determined by my next colour. I have to have a think. Now if you don't want to do it a coppery, you can just go for your raw umber, green gold and Naples yellow or something. But I might pick I could either go for an ochre brown, what's it called, burnt ochre I think, or even a more terracotta-y, a sanguine, or an orange. It's not always easy to choose. Too many colours, that's the problem. We need less colours in our rainbow, that's what it is. Oh dear, there's something else happened I was going to tell you about. What happened this? Oh, we had a lorry round last night where I was looking outside and there was a lorry at the end of the road and it was flashing a bright orangey yellow light. And I said to my son, should I shut the curtains? He was like, yeah. Flashing is very sensitive, so flashing lights, he didn't like them. So I shut the curtains, but I wanted to know what it was. It was making a noise, and I noticed there was a puddle of water running down the road from it. So I was like, it's not a fire engine, because they're blue light, not orangey yellow light. My son reminded me of that. So we decided it was probably a drain lorry. We could see men in high-vis jackets down by it, and then they were hosing off the road. So we're wondering if they were just unblocking a drain, but normally when they unblock the drains they do the whole road, not just one. So it was a bit confusing, but I never found out what it was. I'm sure it wasn't anything too exciting, but you know, when you live in a quiet little street like we do, which is good, that sort of thing's all that happens. So my eyes are going blurred. Sometimes they just decide they don't want to focus properly. I don't know whether it's the light, because it's my lamp's quite bright and outside it's quite dull, or whether it's just too much looking at close page, whether my prescriptions needs this bit's confusing me because it doesn't look like that. See, that's a whole teardrop shape there, but here it's sort of broken up by this, and we've got this gap. I think I need to just have a think about that. Let's just do that bit, which looks like that bit. But we just don't have a bit like this on that side. I'm going to fill that in like that. I think it's the only way I can make it sort of easy for me to do. Now, what's that? It just doesn't look the same. That bit's all different as well. I think I'm gonna, let's do this bit and then have a think. I don't know if that's the wall or bit of the frame there, but I've done it as a bit of the frame now, because we've got this thin line down here. I think I'm going to do it all as frame, including this bit, because it's going to be a bit easier than trying to, although we've got a bit of wall here. You can't see what I'm pointing at. Down below here, there's a bit of wall, so maybe we can leave that as wall and make this bit the frame. I'm a bit confused. I'm just going to go for it. That's all I can do. There we go. So that's what I think are all the real dark bits. Now I've got to decide on my next colour. I think I am going to go for this one, the burnt sienna. Okay, now I don't want this to be as dark as this, and it can be if I put, so I'm going to have to put it down a bit lighter, but I think that's okay. So I'm just going to put a bit here to start with. Extend that. Now this bit is supposed to be quite dark, so I can put this down quite dark. But when it comes to the next bits, I'm trying to be a little bit lighter. So here I need to put a bit here now, but I'm just going to do a light bit, as you can see, just a gentle layer. Now I'm going to sneeze, hold on. That was the loud sneeze. Right, lucky I stopped the video. There we go. Now I want a little bit here. I'm going to add, it's going to be a bit on every surface now. I have a little bit of this. Some will have a bit more than others depending on whether it's sort of one of these darker areas that I've set up as being a bit darker, or whether it's one of the sort of lighter areas, or that bit. Ugh, sorry, I'm sniffing now. It was quite a sneeze. Hopefully you can sort of see what I'm doing. I'm sort of making it up as I go along, but it's sort of instinctive, I guess. Someone's saying they have a hard job picking colours, and yeah, I can see that. It was on our video comment the other day. Now this piece here is really long, so it goes all the way from there all the way to there. So I'm thinking I might put a sort of darker bit in the middle, or else it's just going to be such a huge area of a lighter pencil. Bit here. And so yeah, I think I can see why it's hard picking colours. Now I think if you're doing a picture with items in like this, you can just go with the colour that the item would normally be. So sometimes that's obvious, like if someone's drawn a poppy, then poppies are usually orange, yellow, red sort of colours. You can just look one up if you want on your search engine, and then you can, away you go. But some things are more abstract in design, some pages, and so it takes a little bit more thought to work out what to do. My dryer's finished, it's beeping. I'm going to have to go and sort it in a minute. So one thing I would recommend for that is you can look up, go on a website like Pinterest or even in your search engine and look up work by that particular author pages, or Instagram's quite good too, and you will be able to see what other people have done. Now you can be inspired by them. Now if you're not sharing your page anywhere else, then it doesn't matter, just use their ideas. If you are sharing your page on, say, Instagram or a colouring group somewhere or something like that, or on your, you know, your own website, whatever, then make sure you credit them. Just say I was inspired by blah, because that's always just nice to do that. Or you might want to ask their permission. Some people don't like people copying their work, some people don't mind. I don't mind at all. It's nice to be credited, but I don't insist. And I did get cross with one company who posted, it was a company, not a person, they posted my work and other people's work as if it was their own. That was annoying. But if it's inspired by, that's a whole different thing, because it is your own work. Yeah, and they were a company, they were using it for commercial. That's not on, but individuals, it's fine. But you know, just get inspired by others, and the more you practice, the more you will become more confident in your ability to do it on your own. But it's not, you know, it's a learned thing. We're all learning new skills, so, and it isn't always a natural thing just to know, you know, what colours to do. Yeah, you've got a leaf, you probably know it's going to be green. It doesn't have to be, of course, but you know, that sort of thing. So it's a little bit easier. But you've got a random swirly shape. What do you do? Why would you know? You know, don't expect that you should know everything, because you know, you're new to it. Right, I'm going to go and sort my washing out now. I've just done that bit and finished explaining to you, and I'll be back with a different colour. It looks really rusty. We'll try and change that in a minute. Right, sorry, I'm back. I don't know, my remote control didn't want to work properly, so I was a bit confused. But anyway, I'm back. What I'm going to try, something a little bit different, for my next layer of colour, I'm going to try this dark cadmium yellow, which is quite orangey. I think it might help with our sort of coppery look. Give it a go and see what happens. So, I'm going to start here. Now this is our sort of darkest bit in here, but this might be my last colour. So I'm just going to leave a little white bit there. Just want to see how it sits really. I think it's okay, but I'm just going to carry on with it and see whether I feel it's working. Once I've done all of it really, I can always go over with another colour or two, you know, depending. Just notice I'm doing the least fiddly bits first. Why not? Get myself warmed back up. I don't think I did any... Oh, I did. Yeah, I know what I was doing there. Sorry. myself a bit confused. I got distracted having gone downstairs, you know, for like 2 minutes to just see if the washing was dry and put the dryer back on. I don't usually use the dryer a lot, but we've got so much washing hanging about, and I can't actually use the can try and actually these shadowy bits I might block right in. I might do all of those first. I'm not sure how happy I am with how that looks, to be honest, but anyway, we can fiddle with it in a bit. Yeah, I don't usually use the dryer, but I've had so much washing and I can't use my bedroom radiator because we're having all the hall radiator really. We're having the bathroom floor done tomorrow, and I want to sort of keep, I'm going to do the rest of this now, this sort of areas free, because you know the bathroom floor has also got to do a bit of work in the bedroom, so I don't want to put anything on the radiator there. And the hall is quite a narrow area, and he probably won't be in there, but you know, my husband will be going by making him cups of tea and stuff like that. Husband's always really sort of make sure that workmen get a drink, because he used to be a gardener, so he knows how. I've done that bit. I'm just going to do that bit with the burnt sienna. He knows how important it can be to get a nice drink, so he likes to make sure everyone's got a drink and stuff, and he'll be here tomorrow. And so that's that. But I think I was told they wouldn't be coming too early in the day. I might be adding a bit of orange in here. I feel like I need to put that up there a bit. Sorry, I'm going back and forth. I just sort of been playing with it really. I haven't done down here. I feel like it needs a bit of something, a bit more fiddling, but I'll come back to it. We'll get this colour down, and then I'll sort of sit back, have a look at the page. Notice I'm leaving sort of white areas. That is purposeful. That is to try and make it look more shiny. My desk is having a good old creak at me. This look really stands out, I think, from the page. But of course, I might want to use some white pen on here to change it up a bit. I don't know if it needs it. We have on most of the other metal items, haven't we? Didn't on the edge of the chest. Maybe I should have done. Not sure. Anyway, this can carry on. Yeah, so that I've got to do a little job in the bathroom, 2 little jobs in the bathroom. I need to find some clear cable ties. It's very exciting. I mean, you did, I know, log into my channel, come and look at my video because you wanted to hear me talk about cable ties, didn't you? I've got a new shower caddy which hangs on the bar which you use to control the temperature, and I've got it hangs off with 2 hooks, but it moves quite a bit and touches the wall a lot. The new acrylic I don't know what you call it, of the shower wall, which we've had put in instead of tiles, and so I'm worried that it might scratch the wall if it keeps moving a lot, you know, and kids will be using it, and they're not so careful as us because they haven't paid the money for everything, and you know. So I thought I might get some cable ties. I need something to sort of, basically I need something to stop it scratching the wall, and I thought if I tie some clear, which we've got cable ties, around the pot caddy, on the back, then they would touch the wall rather than the actual caddy, and it wouldn't scratch plastic. It's not going to scratch plastic. So I need to root around and find them. Now I'm going to use the slight orangey colour in some of these areas because I think we've got too much of a jump from brown to yellow, and I didn't predict that. I think that I'm going to use the terracotta. I think this is going to be the best bet. I'm going to go through and just play with it. So here, just a bit in there to try and make it a bit less of a big jump from brown to yellow sort of thing. You might be happy with how yours looks. You might not want to add this in, but you know, I'm going to have a fiddle around with it. Yeah, so I need to do that, and I also need to give the shower a good clean because I still haven't cleaned it since it was finished. And so there's like fingerprints and silicone blobs and bits like things like that going on in there. So I need to just make it nice, and then it'll be ready. And then when the floor's done, we'll be able to use it. I don't know how long we'll need to leave the floor to sort of settle or dry or whatever. They've got to glue some stuff down on it. I'm not going to do this inside bit yet. I don't know whether I need to. Have a think as I go. We'll have a look at the end. And yeah, so it's quite exciting really. Yesterday I sort of dusted because it, you know, after all the, I was going to leave it until the floor was done, and then I thought it probably won't make much dust, will he? Just doing the floor. So I dusted everywhere and vacuumed. I didn't do the ground floor actually. I dusted but I didn't vacuum, and got that all done. So that was good. By the time I got to the ground floor I was tired out. How much energy yesterday. I'm feeling really hormonal again. So I'm doing the whole hormonal nest tidying, even though I'm past that stage of I'm going to use this dark cadmium yellow just for here, look. I think I left too much of a gap there. So yeah, I want to get the house clean and tidy and looking nice, but I'm shattered at the same time. But I did, you know, we were painting last weekend and everything. So there's that, which is probably quite tiring. Went out yesterday, but we only walked into town. Didn't do much else, well, apart from the dusting and vacuuming, but yeah, it shouldn't tire me out. But as I say, I'm sure it's just hormonal. I think part of my problem here is I just didn't fade it enough. I just did quite a sharp end to this section. But this orange just sort of changed the colour up a bit. You can decide whether you think you want it or not on yours, or leave it less orangey. Quite liking the orange, it's really vibrant, isn't it? I'm not going to put any on that inside bit, I don't think it needs it. What I am going to do is get a dark sepia, I can find it, it's in the wrong place, there it is, and sharpen it and do a few extra dark bits. So here's a dark sepia. I'll do this a bit more slowly so you can see, because I did rush the other bit, I think a bit too much. So in here, so I'm just going along just inside the line, because I just want to really emphasize that I think that little section there is dipped in. I'm going to do the same here. And maybe, no, I don't think I need to do it there, but up here, but sorry. Thinking aloud and being confusing. Let's just work up the edge here. So just on and slightly inside the lines, really, on all the bits that I want to look like they're slightly dipped in, lower shadowy sort of areas. You might not feel you need this if your pencil was dark enough to start with, and it might not make a huge difference. I just feel like I want to do it. Now, I've got absolutely no idea how long this video is because I kept stopping it to sneeze and to sort of washing and stuff, so it may or may not be longer or shorter than the rest in this series, but it is going to be the last one because I have now made up my mind what I'm doing for the background, and it won't take too long. I'm going to use some pastel to do the background and a stencil. Now I want to do a brickwork look to it, all in the background. Now if you don't have a brick stencil, then you can draw it all out by hand. It takes quite a time, and I do have a video where I do that, so I thought rather than doing that in this video where I've done it before, I will use the stencil. Also, I'm just not in the mood for it today, and sometimes if you're not in the mood for something, it's better not to do it because you won't do it well, you know. Some days I'm not in the mood for colouring really neat, accurate areas. No, I mean, I'm not that neat or accurate anyway. But so I just grab a mandala and some pens, you know, sometimes. Right, we need to do our background. So our background's not going to be in pencil. I'm going to zoom right out and firstly tell you how we're going to do pastels. So we need to make sure that our paper, we've got our pieces of paper behind the pages. We just still can't see. There we go. So it overhangs. Make sure it's overhanging every edge, or else if it's tucked in like this, then the pastel, when it goes over the edge, which you won't hear obviously because I won't be using here, it's more on the sides. It can go down the side and spoil your other pages. So get your paper there. Now I've got my Mungyo Pastels, and I am going to pick a grey. Okay, now we've got a selection of greys here of mine. I might mix it up a bit. I haven't decided yet. I'll probably just use the middle one. But let's just move those aside. I've also got a template. Now, I don't know how easy it is to buy these or stencil. This was gifted to me. It's from a company called Clarity Stencils. You can see it's a British company, and it says it can be used for embossing, die cutting and all sorts, but it is a brick wall. Now you can buy brick stencils from different brands as far as I can tell. This one, because it's Clarity Stencils, they're from their own website rather than from Amazon, and here's the design. I just put it on there. It's quite hard to see when it's on the book. There you are, you can see it. So it's basically little brick shapes, and what I tend to do is try not to use like the edge like that, because then that bit won't have any on, so you need to overhang it a little bit. Let's pop it back up here, and you also need to try and line it up if you're doing a really big area, but we'll do our best and see how it comes out. So I'm going to grab a little sponge. I'm trying to find a cloth, a clean one. There we go. That doesn't look very clean, but it is. And grab some pastel. So what I do is I wouldn't normally put it on top of the book like this, but I rub on here. Okay, just rub, and you get some on your sponge. So I'm going to do that. Now when you're using a stencil, it's probably really obvious. Try and line it up straight with the page. I can line it up with the top of the paper here, and try to keep it as still as you can, or else if you move it, it's you're not going to get it in the right place. Now that's fine. Now I've got to try and rub some more pastel off, and hold the stencil in place. So I can't hold my pastel box because I've got to hold the stencil. So it gets a little bit tricky. My pastel box is moving around everywhere. Now this seems extremely pale. I'm just going to pull this away. Yeah, it's too pale for my liking. I'm going to let go a minute. It moved. Did you see? It moved. So I'm going to go for the darker one. That's better. Try and line that back up. That shows up so much better. Now when you're applying pastel onto a stencil, you may find that your the thing you're using starts shredding a little bit because of, especially this is quite thin lines. So I keep moving it so I can line it back up. In fact, I think I am going to move it now. So I've done that top section there. Unfortunately, I've left a line there, which I didn't want to do at all. So I'm going to try and put some pastel in there. So it depends what you're using, whether it tends to shred or not. So to be a bit careful. So there's that little section done. You can see quite bricky. I don't know how clear it is actually. We've got a tiny bit here, remember. So I'm going to put the stencil just on there. I need to put some more pastel on. This is where it gets a bit tricky. Like that. Now more pastel for this tiny bit at the bottom down here. So yeah, when I used to use cotton wool, it just shredded on this particular stencil. So I couldn't really use it, but cotton wool isn't the best thing. Now here, I want to try and line up my bricks with here. Now I lined it up with the top of the page like that, I think. So I tried to line the top of that with the top of the page. I think that's how I did it. Yeah. So I'm going to do the same again. I need to go all the way across. But so like that. Now I'm going to have to make sure that I keep hold of this time because we're doing such a big area. It'll be really hard to line it back up. Now don't worry too much about the middle of the page there. There's not much you can do. Just do your best. We'll see how it comes out. Now what some people do is they'll use a stencil and then they'll pencil over the top to sort of add a bit more to it. I don't tend to do that. I'm going to have to let go. I tend to just let the pastel do its work. That's up to you. Now you can, I was going to use some darker and lighter colours, but I think this is fine. I don't want it to look too dark in the background. Remember what I was saying earlier about keeping it lighter. I also don't want it so pale that you can't really see it like I was getting earlier. So basically this is the only colour I've got that's going to work. Let's get that back. So I just got to go with it. And it's taking a while with this particular stencil because the holes are so small. Some stencils, it can be quite quick. If you don't have a stencil, you can just put some colour down. You don't have to put the brick shape. You can just put some grey down and make that it. It would still look quite brick-like, I think, just grey. Now I'm trying not to put the stencil on top of the pencil, but if you put your pencil down thick enough, it almost resists the stencil, but just trying to be a bit careful because I don't want it, now that really moved it. can just about see what I was doing. Yeah, I don't want there we go. I don't want it too light, but also not too dark. That moved again. I find that even if it moves a bit, by the time I've finished, it doesn't show up that much. It's just a background after all. Right, I think I have done that section. I'm going to move down to this bit. Basically just try and line it up with a line on the brick that you've done already. You may have done stencils before, you may be better than me. If you've done them before you will be, because I'm not that experienced, but it's just a bit of fun. Now you don't also, with a stencil, you don't have to do, whoops, the whole background. You can just do a bit of it. I'm going to move across to this side now. Now where are we doing? So we need to line up with the line that we've got already. Just start at the top. So I need to make sure it lines up though. That's odd. I think I am going to start at the bottom, be easier to line it up. There. Yeah, you can do a few patches of stencil rather than the whole thing. That's what I did on a couple of pages actually, and I can't remember who it was, but I saw someone else had done it, and I was like, that's a fab idea, so I just copied it. But it's a bit naughty of me not to remember who it was, to acknowledge them. Whoops. It's always hard though, because you don't know whether the person you saw is the originator of the idea or whether they were in fact copying somebody else themselves. But if you're inspired by someone, it is good practice to say who it was. Yeah, I did do a bit where I did a few sections on one page, and then my son was like, you did that bit wonky. So, but you know, I think I'm wonky now actually, aren't I? Very. Going up here. Let's get some dark colour up here. Sorry, it's taking quite a lot of concentration to try to make sure I don't go over the white of the items. Now I'm going to brush this off. It is actually quite pale. It's quite difficult to say, but it does just finish it off, I think. So that's good. So there we are. I'm going to whip away the paper so that you can see the finished page. Oh, I'm really pleased that that's finished in a way. You know, it's been quite a mammoth page, but I'm pleased with how it looks as well, and I don't feel that I've rushed it. My batch is about to go, so I just need to say thank you for watching and happy colouring.